best.
They not like us.
I am the best.
They not like us.
I am the best.
They not like us.
I am the best.
They
I am
not
the
like
best.
us.
I am the best.
They not like us.
I am the best.
They not like us.
I am the best.
They
I am
not
the
like
best.
us.
I am the best.
They not like us.
My name is Ron Scott Jr. I'm a counselor. I work youth services systems, and I'm a founder of an organization called Ohio Valley African American Students Association.
How do you feel in the current situation, Black Lives Matter in America?
All right, the current situation with Black Lives Matter is a very tense one. I feel like in the country right now, I've never felt this much tension involved with a social issue, because in a week's time, we had the death of 2 unarmed black men at the hands of police officers, and then the killing of 4 police officers. This is all in a week. So I've never been in a situation in the country where there's been so much tension, emotion, and social backlash all behind one issue in my lifetime.
How can America move forward, and what can we do to make a change?
That's a great question. But as far as moving forward, I think a lot of acknowledging stuff has to happen. Like people have to look at how they responded to the deaths of 2 unarmed black men, and then look at how they responded to the deaths of 4 police officers. All are human beings. None of them needed to be killed or are gone too soon. So why is one taking value over another one? Why are you instantly ready to demonize or devalue one death, and the other one you make almost hero status? You have to figure out what is conflicting in your mind when these people are being killed, because you can't just kill innocent civilians and then expect no sort of retaliation in any way, shape, or form. Because of course I'm not advocating anybody's death or murder or any kind of violence in any way, shape, or form. But when you perpetuate violence on the people long enough, you just can't be surprised when that comes back around. You know what I'm saying? So I think if people start to acknowledge some of their own opinions and biases that they have, I think then we can start to move forward a little bit after that. But making a change, I think that part is the real trick, because you have to do more than type a status or send a tweet. You know, you got to do a little bit more than that, because true change happens when people they put actions behind some of the things that they say. So you have to go somewhere or talk to someone who is either in law enforcement or is affected by law enforcement, or police brutality has affected their lives in some sort of way. Or reach out to someone that you don't think values themselves and make sure that they feel like they're valued after your experiences or your conversations with them. Change can start simple with one person, but the action has to be there. And the action is not a tweet, and it is not a Facebook status, and it's not just talking with people who feel the exact same way that you do. Like, you gotta do something. So it's much more conversation and lip service.
Exactly. And you're not going to get a result out of something if you're just sitting at home on a couch or something like that.
Exactly.
Putting out messages. You got to actually go and do it.
100%. A lot of people call it sofa activism. Like, they're going to do everything from their couch, and they're going to be outraged. Like, let me tell you something. And retweet and like something and share it and all that, which is great, because the people that are your friends on there, they see it and they're like, oh, I didn't know you were so serious about that sort of stuff. But then they go to work, or then they go to the kitchen, and then it's not in their minds anymore. But if they look at you showing up at a meeting at the school board, showing up at a meeting at the city council, or organizing some sort of a march or something like that, they know your heart is truly in it, because there's actions that go behind it all. So you're right.
Yes, and there is a lot of procrastination and stuff like that. So I think for the most part, people are too nervous to stand up and say something other than actually doing it.
Right. And I got a key on something that you said. Procrastination. This age, everything is real quick. Like, Vine videos are 6 seconds long. People are getting famous off of 6-second Vines, right? So if you procrastinate, the next issue will come by and push it out of your mind that quick. So if anybody is procrastinating or sitting around resting on their laurels before they act and try to make some change happen, the next issue will come and it'll be gone. And you'll be sitting on your couch and like, man, I was going to do that tomorrow, but I never got a chance to. I never got around to it. And now everybody's worried about this. So you're right, procrastination will kill a movement and will kill any aspiration for change immediately.
Have you or your family or friends been affected by police brutality? If so, how did you resolve that? Or how was it resolved?
Yes. Myself, I've been affected by police brutality in a few different ways. The first time, it was more of it wasn't physical stuff. Because my first experience in my entire life with a police officer was me and my father were driving in the car, and I believe I was in second grade, and he got pulled over. Now my father, he's no angel in any way, shape, or form. He's had his run-ins with the law, been in prison a couple times, all that sort of stuff. So we get pulled over, and I'm not paying a lot of attention to all the stuff that's going on. And what I do remember is the officer and my father having an exchange, and the officer saying, and I'll never forget it, he called him a long-haired nigger faggot. Because my father, he has long hair, and he still does to this day. He always wears it long. And when he said that, it always stuck to me. I'll never forget the phrase. I'll never forget the officer's face. And that was my first experience with police officers. That kind of shaped everything after that. And the next one, it's kind of humorous when I think about it now, but there was a girl I was trying to date forever, man. I was asking her, please, go on a date with me, please. And she wouldn't. And finally she agreed. And we went to the movies and we saw Forrest Gump. That's how long ago that was. Forrest Gump was out. And so while I'm at the movies watching this with her, apparently there was some shooting in downtown Wheeling, and the guy had a car that sort of looked like mine. And so I drive by. She still wants to hang out after the movie, so I'm excited. And I'm staying with my cousin at the time. So we go by this local bar called the Chit Chat. I see my cousin. I'm like, hey, the date's still going on, so don't come to the house right away. All right? So we get back in the car, and I go to take the turn. And when I turn, it seems as though every police car in Wheeling is there. They're just waiting on me. And guns come out, he throws it in my face, and he picks me up out of the car, and he slams me on the ground. And this big guy, I still remember, he puts his knee, all his weight on my back, lifts my arm up, he cuffs me up, he picks me up, and he slams me into the side of the car. And they're telling me that I'm a suspect in this shooting, and there's nothing I can do about it, just to shut up now. And because all I'm trying to say is why. I remember the one word I was trying to say was why, but everything was happening so fast I couldn't even get it out. So then they're searching my car, and they're grabbing all types of crazy stuff out of my car. Like they had this box of cleaning supply stuff, and they're asking what it is, and they're throwing it everywhere. They're in my pockets, and I remember I had aspirin, because the girl said she had a little headache or something, and I had change in that pocket as well. So the change starts breaking up the aspirin, and they're pulling out. They're like, well, what is this? This isn't dope in your pocket. And I remember he takes me from the hood of the car and throws me to the side, and I just remember I hit right on my hip, right on the curb, and I'm just laying there, and I'm looking over, and I see the girl, and she's crying, and they had no remorse, they had no pity. Now, I don't know if that's something that they just do anytime they have anybody they think is a suspect for a shooting, but it was well beyond what they needed to do at the time. I mean, they could have simply pulled me over and went to the protocol as usual, and they had the suspect. But this one, it was just so escalated. And I'm thinking, if I was that guy, if I was the dude that had a gun and all that stuff, once I saw those cops, everything got escalated right then and there. Why wouldn't I pull out and fire or something like that? I feel like, and just like these current situations, diffusing the situation is not on their mind. It wasn't at all. It was almost like they just want to make an example of me and show, if you think you can shoot somebody in Wheeling, this is what happens to you. And after they take me to the holding and everything gets resolved and they find out this has nothing to do with me, there was never an apology, there was never anything. And I remember getting back to my car and it was just ransacked. Stuff was everywhere. I had speakers in the back that were all the way in the front. And no one ever said anything about it. And those were two extreme cases, because other than that, there's always been the times where I just get pulled over and the whole dog gets called on me. Or I remember a time when there was a state trooper pulled me over and he stood behind me. I couldn't see him, but he was there. I remember him yelling, are there guns and drugs in the car? I'm like, no. And I went to go turn. He's like, turn your fucking head around. Are there any drugs or guns in the car? And I just remember thinking, this dude's about to just shoot me. He's going to shoot me right here. and I don't have any drugs or guns in the car, and I'm gonna die. But those are probably the 3 worst incidents. But there's always been little things where I get pulled over a lot. And it doesn't happen anymore because by now they figure if I'm doing something, they'd have got me. But I still get occasionally pulled over when it doesn't seem like it, and the dog gets called down, and they got to sniff through my car and all that. But as far as hands-on physical stuff, that day was the worst. And then the initial contact with the police officer probably was the worst verbal assault that I ever got. And it wasn't even towards me, it was towards my father. But that painted everything regarding the police from that point on.
How do you feel about like what is going to come out of this with the interview and stuff like that? Like, do you think it's going to make a change or like?
I do. I think with this, I think people are going to watch it, and either they're going to get something out of the questions that you ask, or going to get something out of the answers that they give. But I think what will stick with them more is that there were a group of people all came together to produce this, like to make it. So when someone's watching this, they're going to know that someone was moved enough by what's going on to get other people that were moved by what's going on and to do something. That action we were talking about earlier. They're watching the action, and it's just cool to be a part of it. And when the people click on it, they know somebody else is doing something, so why couldn't I?
Yes, and I just want to thank you for the time and effort you put in today and giving us this great interview. It was amazing. Thank you, Mr. Roland Scott.
Anytime you
I
need me,
really
I got you.
appreciate it.
Ron Scott Jr.
Jamil Alexander.
Christian Todd.
Jordan Carter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
Black Lives Matter.
This is Real Ground Music TV and Black Lives Matter.